Hello everybody, welcome. It's not Monday, but happy Monday night. No, god damn it. Happy Christmas night. Whatever. Merry Christmas. We're not doing good so far. I'm kind of sick. I feel the sickness coming in my throat, and it's not good. I tried to combat it earlier with a taco, and maybe that helped, but then I smoked a cigarette right afterwards, and it undid all the stuff that the taco did. What else? Oh, if maybe you don't do Christmas. If you don't do Christmas, happy whatever your thing is. But my thing is Christmas, so I say Happy Christmas. I say Merry Christmas, because I'm not, whatever. Wonderful guests. The wonderful guest this evening is myself. And we're very, very pleased with myself for being able to join, because we know that myself has a very, very busy schedule. What else? What else? I guess that's it. I guess we should just get started. I took some questions, and the very first question is from, unfortunately, I only wrote down the name of the first person who asked a question, and then after that I forgot to keep track of the names, so I'm sorry, your names are gone. But, Greengrocer, he asked, Sirken, how are you not dead yet? And I know this is because of my food choices, but I mean, to that I would say it's better to eat lasagna tacos than to not eat anything at all. And so I shall continue to put substance into my body to keep me alive as long as possible. And unless you know somebody who's died from eating lasagna tacos, you shouldn't assume that they're gonna be the end of me either. That said, my brother gives me about 8 years. He thinks that's about all I got left. So we'll see. We'll see who has the last laugh. Next question. I know this was on the forums, but what made classic EverQuest so great? And for that, I'd say, oh Jesus, I don't even know where to start. I guess it's not so much what made it great. It's hard for me to sit here and rattle off things that make it great, but it's a lot easier for me to sit here and rattle off the things that ruined it and the things that modern day MMOs do that just leave people wanting that EQ classic feeling. But let's try to do it anyway. Let's try to do it. We got some time. We're gonna try to kill some minutes, so let's do it together. Community. First thing, community. You and I and everybody else is what made Classic EverQuest great. There's a reason that everybody has so many great memories from so many servers that were absolutely nothing like each other. I know I started on velious, and I know that if I was to compare my EQ experiences, even with people on other PvP servers like Talonzek or Ralosek, we're going to have completely different experiences, completely different stories and nostalgias and things to go over. Even things as simple as like what was the main trading zone. Some servers it was East Commons, some servers it was GFA, some servers it was just North Freeport. And then zones had their own stories. I know on Valenczek there was this huge fight where the server, all the top guilds of the server joined together and allied forces to remove another guild called the 12 Prophets out of Sebelis. And no other server has that. Like, we created our own things. And then as individual people, players, whatever, we had, what was it? We were forced to interact with each other. If you didn't interact and socialize with people in EQ, you would sputter out and die. I mean, your progression would eventually stop. I mean, sure, some classes can solo to max level, but I mean, that's not the end of the game. It's if you want to continue to progress your character and get better gear, better items, you need to interact with people. You need to join groups. You need to join a guild. You need to do these things. You need to find people with common interests and join with them. And in modern MMOs, you really don't. I was talking to a buddy of mine who his only MMO experiences are really stupid things. I know he played Aeon briefly. I know he played Star Wars. I know he played ESO. But his roommate played World of Warcraft for a good while, but he never did. He never played EverQuest. I think he made a dwarf back on live one time at my house, and just like kind of barrel roll jumped around Butcher Block for maybe 5 or 6 minutes. But that was it. And he thought it was absolutely a stupid concept that a raid should need, more than 6 people, maybe 10 people. I don't know. I was complaining about the lack of endgame content in newer stuff like ESO and Star Wars, and he's like, well, what do you mean? They got stuff for like 6 guys and 10 guys. You can go and do things. And I'm like, that's not a raid. You should get 30 or 40 people together and go knock something out as a group. And he just, he thought that was stupid. He thought that was the stupidest thing he ever heard of. He's very adamant that if something takes 30 or 40 people, that is straight up retarded. And I think that's, I think the newer generation of MMO players are just so spoiled on easy mode content that they look at old EQ, they look at things that take, any game that takes, 30 or 40 people to down a target, sometimes more than that, and he thinks it's stupid. And I think he's probably not the only one that thinks that. And sadly, that's a problem, because when these big corporate suit types are making their MMOs, they're not in the office at the table trying to come up with ideas to make the best game. They're sitting at that table hammering out ideas on how they can make the most money and just milk every goddamn penny out of this MMO before it goes belly up. And sadly, I think that's why so many MMOs are bad. If you just make a good game, people will come, people will play it, and the money will be made. But if you go into MMOs, or if you go into making an MMO thinking that you're going to make the next World of Warcraft, or if you go into it trying to make the next World of Warcraft, you not only are most likely going to fail, but I think you deserve to fail. You should be creative and whatever. You should take some initiative, take some chances, take some risks, go out on a limb. And if your shit fails, then it failed. But you tried what you wanted to try, and you know that people didn't like it, or you suck at advertising. But either way, you tried. And realistically, I think that a lot of the better games I've been playing, at least in the last year, have not been the big game stuff. Maybe they became big game stuff eventually, but they weren't the higher, big advertised, hyped up games. The last big hyped up game I played that I really liked was Saints Row 4 at the very beginning of the year in January. But then I've played little games. I had a lot of fun with Papers, Please. I had a lot of fun with Terraria. I had a lot of fun with drawing blanks. Oh my lord, doesn't matter. I'm playing Hearthstone now. I love Hearthstone. God damn it. Let's move on. I saw another question in the forums. It comes from Random Troll 01. He wants to know, why is this project called Project 1999? He went on to explain that we're going into Velious and blah blah blah. That wasn't 1999, so it should be blah blah blah, Project 2001 or something. And I touched briefly on it in the thread, but for all of those who don't read stupid threads, I'm gonna put some stupid into your ear holes right now for you. Common sense. The EverQuest came out in 1999. Our mission plan was to recreate the classic original EverQuest as it was in 1999, and then progress through the timeline all the way through Velious. And so, as opposed to renaming the project and domain every time we release an expansion, we just went with Project 1999. It rolls off the tongue easier than Project 2001. And it's the year everything started. We just felt it was good. And if you think that's stupid, well, I don't care. Send a PM to Rogan. He would absolutely love to read your private messages. He tells me all the time, actually, in private GM chat. He goes on and on about how much he loves reading player messages, and they make him feel real warm and fuzzy inside. And realistically, anytime anyone has a thought, they should share it with Rogan. Just shoot him a private message. He'll thank you later. I mean, if he didn't, he'd come on stream, and he'd be like, don't do that. But he didn't come on stream, so he can't tell you not to do that, so I can tell you to do that. He loves it. Take my word for it. I guess this would be better for Darabelle, but he's not here. What is the true favored race of cazic thule? Oh man, well, let's not count any of the non-player races, because I know he created a few of those as well. And I'm going to say it's got to be a toss-up between... no, you know what? It can't even be a toss-up. It's the Ixars. It's got to be the Ixars. He gave them all the greatest things. Regens, and they're born into this world knowing how to swim. They get all of Kunark to grow up in and play in, and they don't have to deal with wood elves or high elves or any of the other stupid races. Definitely Ixars. That said, I'll let you guys in on a little inside secret here. I've actually never played an Ixar. I know a lot of people have, and I know a lot of people just blindly assume because of how much I love Necros that I've played an Ixar, but I've never played an Ixar. Oh, sorry, sweet tea. The very first Necro I played was a gnome on Valen'Zek named Fidflar. The guy who owned it was gonna quit, and I was like, give it to me. I won't strip it. I won't do anything bad to it. And then when you come back, your shit will still be here. And sure enough, he did come back, and I bet he's real glad he didn't sell it. And I bet he's real glad I didn't strip it. And for all you nerds on Red, it is possible to have somebody's login information and not be a douchebag and take their things. Just throwing it out there. Speaking of Red, next question. Is the Red server recruiting? I don't know. It's hard to tell. They never make threads or posts or comments telling us if they are, and I never hear anything about if it's a good time to play on Red now or not. And so realistically, I have no idea. I have no idea about any of those things. I mean, if there were threads just littered all over the message board, then maybe I'd know. But since the Red community is just a bunch of saints and angels and wonderful little snowflakes, there's simply no way anybody from that community would spam the forums with dumb shit threads like, come play on Red, har har har. So, yeah, that's my official answer. I have no idea, because the Red server is just so good and saintly, they don't complain or tell us things. I'm joking. Go play on Red. Red's... I'll tell you this. I don't know about Red 99 and P99 Blue, but EQ PvP is better than EQ without PvP. I've done both. I've done both at a high-end level. I've hit neckbeard status on both. And without a doubt, it's not even something I have to sit and think about. EQ PvP is just better. It's just a better game when there's PvP. You know why? Because EQ gives people the freedom to be douchebags. And PvP gives you the freedom to deal with those douchebags. Unfortunately, on the blue server, that's not a thing. And so you have to resort to either petition quest or taking matters into your own hands, which is always dangerous. Because as anybody who ever went to high school know, it's always the kid who throws the second punch that gets in trouble. And most times that happens, I'd bet, in P99 too. It's the person who retaliates that usually gets in trouble. Because something will happen, it will get the staff's attention, we'll take a look, and while we're taking that look, somebody else does something stupid to revenge kill or get justice for whatever happened to them. And sadly, two wrongs don't make a right. If someone fucks you, you need to come to us. You need to come to the staff, you need to make a petition, you need to do something. You need to not take matters in your own hands and dump a ton of mobs on a player. Because worst case scenario, you get suspended for training. Best case scenario, both of you get suspended for training, but you are still getting suspended for training. So just don't do it. Be smart about it. Don't do dumb shit when you know staff is probably going to be there. Oh, dumb. And speaking of dumb shit, best next question segue ever. What's the stupidest thing you've ever done as a player and as a GM? Well, shit. The stupidest thing I've done as a GM, I have, back on VZTZ when I was a GM over there, like in my first week, I was watching a Trackanon, and I was standing with the guild who was all on the ramp along that ledge there, or the wall. They were all along the wall. You know, right before you turn the corner into Track's lair. And I was standing there, and I had Trackanon targeted, and I wanted to go to Trackanon so that I could face the opening where the players would come from. That was my plan. And unfortunately, I had a hot button for summon and a hot button for go to. And go to was 7 and summon was 8, and my finger hit 8 instead of 7, and I summoned Trackanon right in the middle of this raid party as they were getting ready to engage. And there was just nothing I could do. There was no chance I could save anybody or stop it. I didn't want to depop the mob, which probably in retrospect would have saved everything. But it was like my first week as a staff member. I didn't want, I freaked out. I just let Trackanon kill everybody. And then after he reset, I went ahead and dropped reses on them and apologized profusely and so on and so on. And luckily they were cool about it because it was my first week and because the VZTZ community was a lot less douchey than the Red 99 community. Sorry, Red 99, but shoutouts to the VZTZ community. You guys, Red 99 makes you guys look so good every day. And then the stupidest thing. What's the stupidest thing that I've done as a player? I guess it depends how you want to define stupid. I did a lot of pathing exploits on live. I let a corpse rot once. My main's corpse rotted in Luckland once, and I couldn't get any staff there to restore my corpse, which, unlike Project 1999, where the staff is happy to restore your corpse if it rots. But I couldn't get anyone to restore my corpse, and so I was going to quit. And a bunch of my guildies were like, no, don't quit, we'll give you stuff. And so they went into the guild bank, and they essentially re-geared my character. There was just a couple things that I was missing. But I mean, there's some things like you couldn't get back, just because the character, I mean, he'd been around since the early days of Alan's X. So things like a Guise of the Deceiver was gone. Anything that didn't drop anymore, all the old dumb things that I did leveling up that maybe weren't so valuable but just meant something to me because I had to go through so much bullshit to acquire the item that I was like, I'm just never deleting this or selling it or destroying it or dropping it or anything. I'm not even gonna let another player look at this item. It means so much to me. But alas, it all went away. I didn't quit. I did just start over after they regeared me. And luckily the Mage Epic is a spell, so even if my corpse rotted obviously, but I didn't lose my epic. I didn't have to redo my epic, which was amazing. What else? I know one time as a player on P99, I was up in the plane of Sky, and the guild I was raiding Sky with had just done something. We just killed something. And so Sirken was up, and everyone's like, make sure you don't attack Sirken. Everybody move the fuck away from Sirken. Blah, 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 blah. And so, of course, I moved. I did all the things I was supposed to do. I was talking shit about how they treat us like kids, and they repeat stupid information all the time, and blah, 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 blah. And then it was time to send in Pet, so I sent in Pet. And I quickly learned that I still had Sirken targeted, and like a big dummy sent my pet right after Sirken, and then had to go run and eat my death. And everyone's like, who fucking did that, man? And of course it was me, and I had to be like, it was me. And they're like, you fail at life. My voice hurts. All this talking is not good. It's no bueno. That's the extent of my Spanish. If I get sick, I'm going to be so upset. My brother was throwing up and fevered this morning, and last week his dumb girlfriend was sick, and so now this week it seems like it's my turn, and I am not impressed, not even a little bit impressed. Let's move on. What do we have? What does Velious offer for the casual player? That's actually a good question. I get lots of Velious questions. I might go off on a tangent here. And since there's nobody else, I don't think there's anyone who can stop me from going off on a tangent. So here we go. Velious. Alright, so a lot of people are like, oh, I'm a casual player. Now, I'm going to assume, you know what? No, I'm not even going to assume. We'll just cover both. So in my brain, there's two types of casual players. There's the casual player who doesn't have a lot of time, logs in when they can, does what they can, usually gets up to about level 40, maybe 45, and that's about it. Average gear, whatever. The other casual player is a neckbeard in disguise. They are secret hardcore players. They answer bat phones in the middle of the night, even though they say they don't. And if they're not bat phoning, they're tracking, because you know what? Spoilers. I saw a few Class R guilds killing things on Christmas Eve in the middle of the night. So, I mean, that's not casual. Casual players don't log in at whatever god-awful time to kill Sev, or to kill Anarok, or to kill any noble. These things don't happen on Christmas Eve for casual players. So that being said, these closet case hardcore neckbeard players, they have things too. Oh, my throat's getting real fucked up. I'm killing this tea. So casuals. You have, for low level ones, you of course have low leveler dungeons with good XPs and good loots. You have things like the Crystal Caverns, and one of my absolute favorite zones in all of EverQuest, the Tower of Frozen Shadow. I like the Tower of Frozen Shadow, and if you've never hunted there, I strongly suggest you go on the beta server and you check it out, because it's worth it. It's fun. I don't care what level you are. I went there with a level 60. I got to the boss mob at the end, a lovely winged woman named Tessarina, and she raped my whole face right off my head. The whole thing right off the head. And so I had to go to a buddy pal and be like, hey buddy pal, I need help. And so this buddy pal came, and together, actually the first time, my buddy pal was not being all they could be, and so we died. But the second time we came back with a vengeance, and we slew Tessarina. She didn't drop the robe, which is what I really want, but I'll be back. I will get the robe. Let's see. And then for your high-end casuals, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of quests in velious, and start hammering away at those. I don't expect the Class R guilds to be able to kill a lot of the high-end velious targets, and that's not because of other guilds. I just don't think most guilds are capable of killing the high-end velious targets at this point. There's everything that every other expansion has. This is a loaded question. The only things that non-casuals get that casuals don't get is all of the mobs, and they aren't gonna like my point of view on it, but shit's classic. I mean, I know there were some servers with rotations and whatever, but most servers, my server, and I'm pretty sure 99% of the staff, there might be one staff member who had a rotation, but most of the staff didn't have rotations either. And I know, as the head GM of CSR, I'm never going to enforce a rotation. So that's where that is. Now on servers without rotations, using that as the basis here, using that as whatever. Moving on. Using the non-rotation servers as the example. Only one or two guilds had access to all of the mobs. There was no magical land where everything was equal and fair, and everybody got the same size piece of pie, and blah 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 blah. That's not realistic. Some people are going to get 2 pieces of pie with ice cream on top. Other people are going to get some crust, and still other people are just going to be in the other room staring, hungry, wishing that they could have any, even if they could just smell the pie, they'd be so happy. Oh, I wish I had pie. I broke up an ice cream sandwich and threw it on top of apple pie piece and ate the shit out of it. It was so good. I have a picture of it on my cell phone because I had to show someone. I was talking to someone and I said I was going to do that, and they were like, no, you're not. So I was like, I'm absolutely doing that. And so I did it. I took a picture and sent it in, because even in real life you need fraps. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Or in his case, the way the pie crumbles. Har, har, har. Yeah, play Velious. I don't even have to tell you guys, play Velious. Velious is the best thing awesome. And if you're a casual player and you're worried there ain't stuff for you, I got news for you. There is. Obviously, it's a very raid-heavy zone, and I'd say there's a ton more content for the hardcore players. But most of you guys are hardcore players. You might not realize it, you might not like it, you might not want to admit it. You are hardcore neckbeard players. And so I'm sorry, I don't mean that in a bad way. I was a hardcore neckbeard player too. But again, if you're logging in to kill dragons on Christmas Eve, don't ever let me hear you talk about playstyles. What else? Let's move on. This was a good question. I asked a friend of mine this earlier. What was the pinnacle of EQ? So, the person I was talking to earlier actually said Planes of Power. And that person started playing in Velious. So I can kind of see that. I can kind of see it. As somebody who played pretty much from the get-go, I would still say either Classic or Velious. When Classic came out, it was amazing. I mean, it took people like me who were using paper and dice and gave us visual things, you know, spell effects, other people that you could see. It was everything all of us wanted as gamers, and we didn't have it. And so Classic EQ was amazing for me. Now, if there were a ton of other games, if the market was as saturated as it is now, I honestly don't know if EQ would have been, Classic EQ would have been considered as amazing as it was. But for me it was. And I don't care what the reason is. I was not a big fan of Kunark. I like Seblis, love Seblis. Other than that, I hate Kunark. The zones are too big, the trees are too animated. My computer could not handle animated trees back in 2000. That was not a cool thing to do, and whoever decided that needs to be slapped in the face. And wow, we're slapping people in the face. You know what else? Whoever the asshole was sitting in the boardroom at the table and decided, you know what would be a good idea? we should make people's computer screens just go black when they're blinded. Let's see how many nerds we can get to smash their monitors into a million pieces because they think their computer died. Oh, just all these people need to get slapped in the face. Just whoever did that probably plays on Red 99 right now. That's the type of person they are. Oh, but then Velious came. And I know a lot of people don't like Velious. Well, I take that back. Everyone loves Velious. But at the time, a lot of people like to bitch and complain about faction grinding and having to work trade skills that they would never otherwise work to get certain items. I know the Coldane Prayer Shawl quest is one of those quests that involve trade skill and your little butts off. But it's like, you might say like, oh, I'm having to raise this stupid stat that I'd never have to raise for anything. Well, I mean, you have to raise it for that. And if you want to nitpick, well, I shouldn't need it for this and that and this and that. Well, then eventually you wouldn't need anything for anything. That being said, Greengrocer might be the person to talk to come Velious, because I have a feeling that he has probably a few trade skills worked up pretty high. And for all of your baking needs, I can't imagine anybody I would trust more with my meat. There you go, Greengrocer. Free plugs for you. Goddamn, Velious. Spent a lot of time in Velks. That was just where the lighties hung out on Valenzac. That's my pinnacle, by the way, is Velious. The PvP we used to have over Lodzile back in Iceclad it was never matched, in my opinion. The closest thing was probably the multiple days of just constant non-stop fighting in Seblis. I think I touched on that earlier, though. So, yeah. Hated Lucklin. Everyone knows. Bazaar is stupid. Mounts are stupid. New character models were stupid. The entire cat people was stupid. The Beast Lord class was stupid. Just about every zone you made except for Shra Temple and what's the other one? Vexthal, I think? Everything else is stupid. That whole expansion was a stupid waste of my life. And so, move on to Planes of Power. There was a lot of wasted, stupid things with Planes of Power, but for the most part, I thought it was a good expansion. As someone who was raiding and was really not happy with Luckland and just really wanted to go back to that EQ feeling, Planes of Power did it. It had all the gods that you heard about in Classic and Kunark and Velious. It stopped focusing on all this new stupid shit that had nothing to do with anything. You got to see and fight things that you never thought you'd be able to, I guess, was big for me. I enjoyed the raiding a lot. The going back and reflagging people, going back and getting old keys or whatever, that was a pain in the balls. But the raids were fun. It was nice that it wasn't just 32k Zergfest dragons like Classic and Kunark. So, A+ on that. But after Planes of Power, it all went to shit for me. I quit shortly after that. I think I came back for a couple weeks during LDON just to check it out, but it was dead to me. Seeing those adventure camps littered all over the world, it hurt my heart. They started merging zones together. East-West Commons just became the Common Lands. Like, that's stupid. Freeport, they merged some Freeport zones together. It's just stupid. Stupid. Oasis and North-South Row. It's just, I have so much beef with so many of the things. So many of the changes. They revamp, game makers, stop going back and revamping zones that have serious nostalgia for people. I mean, if you want to make something better, fine. But keep in mind that you better make it good. Because when you when you revamp a zone and you completely change everything about it, the look, the feel, the mobs, everything, you're doing more than just changing a bunch of shit around. You're essentially dropping a nuclear bomb on something that's nostalgic to somebody, and you're blowing it out of existence. And if it sucks, the people who loved what you just dropped your bomb on, they're going to tell you, and they're going to tell you very loudly, and they're going to tell you all over the place. Stop doing dumb things. I mean, going back to my list of people that need to be slapped in the face, whoever revamped Ocean of Tears, you're an asshole. You're an absolute asshole. And I hope, I won't wish actual bad things on you, but I just hope you know that I think you're an asshole. And I hope the fact that some nerd on the internet thinks you're an asshole keeps you up real late at night. Oh, let's move on. Let's move on. What do we have? What class would you be in real life based on personality? Oh man, that's a good question. I guess it depends, like, how you would translate what the classes do into real life. I'm definitely not, like a big dumb brute type. So definitely not going to be like a warrior. I got too many skeletons in the closet to be a paladin. But I think there's too much good inside of me to be a shadow knight. Maybe a rogue. I could see myself being a rogue. Oh god, that might be it. I might be a rogue in real life, pals. Not really like a... Oh, I don't know. I could be an enchanter, though. I'm also pretty charming. A charming rogue. I'm an enchanter rogue. A roguish enchanter. That could be a thing. And gnomes could be both of those. Oh my god. A gnome roguish enchanter. Done. Done. A backstabbing caster. Done. Trying to think, which is interesting because I don't think I've ever played a rogue. I've always wanted to play a rogue. It just seemed like a lot of work. I'm more into the mages and the necros of the world. If you want to be lazy, you can be lazy. I can sit there and root rot and watch TV. I can get more involved with groups. You can either send in pet or you can be a good necro. A lot of necros are so lazy. They're lazy as shit. And they just give other necros such a bad name. It makes me sad. It makes me very sad. Not anymore. Now I don't give a shit. But when I was a player, it made me sad because I'd be like, blah, 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 necro looking for, or sorry, LFG, necro, LFG. And some asshole would there'd always be one asshole. And that asshole would be like, Go solo. We don't like your kind around here. And it's just like, well, that's rude as shit. Telling me to go solo. Maybe I've spent the last 3 days soloing and I miss human interaction. And I'm playing an MMO because I don't want to solo. And I understand you don't want necros because so many of them are lazy as shit and they send the pet in and just AFK, whatever. But you can kick them out. You can always kick them out. Some necros are good necros. Some necros will do CC. Some necros can pull. They can do mez on some targets. Should the cleric wipe, they can res the cleric. They can do spot heals. They can twitch mana. They can do lots of things. DPSs. Come on. Give a necro some love. Invite one to your group today. Kick out a ranger. Kick a ranger. Invite a necro. I like where this is going. I feel bad for rangers. Uber Bandit wouldn't be pleased. He wouldn't be pleased at all. I wished him a Merry Christmas. He hasn't wished me one back. You can file that under the list of things that are rude as well. He might be busy though. Some people just have shit to do. I was supposed to go to dinner like an hour north of Chicago, out by like 15 minutes west of Great America, kind of by Lake Villa. And that's where I was supposed to go yesterday. But then my brother was all like, I'm working late overtime. Gotta make that money. And I was like, okay. And so what did I say? There was some way. Oh, I called my parents. I was like, you know, I don't want to come up there by myself. I feel bad. You know, I'm going to come home and my brother, his name's Brandon. He will, you know, he'll come home from work and he'll be all alone because I'll be up by you guys, and then he'll have to spend Christmas Eve alone. And, you know, I told my mom, I was like, you'd enjoy it more if the whole family was there too. And if it's just me, it's not going to be the same. It won't really feel like Christmas. And so on and so on. And they were like, you're right. We should replan Christmas for a day when we can all come together. And I was just sitting there in absolute amazement because I was able to put off Christmas Eve for a few days, which is wonderful because I hate driving all the way out there. Love my parents, but just hate that they don't act like they live far as shit away. They act like I can hop in the car and be there in 10 minutes. And that is absolutely not a thing. Especially with traffic because of the holidays. It's not even fair. I feel it's not even fair sometimes for them to ask me to come up there for Christmas. And I told them they could come here. We could do Thanksgiving here. We could do Christmas here. We could do my mom's birthday here. We could do the Mother's Day, the Father's Day. We could do all the days right here at my house. We'll cook some food in the kitchen. I won't. Other people, cooking cookers, some cooking cookers will cook some stuff, and then everyone will be happy, and so forth, and so on, and so yada yadas. I'm losing my voice. I'm just rambling so I can actually hear my voice deteriorating over time as each sound is pronounced from my throat and ascending out of my mouth into your ear holes. Oh, Jesus. Alright, more tea. Oh, you know what's good for a sore throat, though? I'll tell you what's good for a sore throat. Oh, Jesus, no, I won't. Because then people will say I'm promoting evil things. That was my fake cough. I did it to mask what was going on. Let's see. Let's move on to the next question. Oh, God, I know the perfect... Oh, my Lord, I know the perfect person that... God damn it, why am I doing this alone? I shouldn't be doing this alone, because some of these questions would be great. You know what I might do? You know what I might do is get... Oh, man. I just got a wonderful idea. And now that I'm like 40 minutes into this video, it's going to be kind of hard to do. But you know what I should have done? Because it's Christmas, and so it's kind of hard to get somebody, you know, for maybe an hour or an hour and a half on Christmas. But what I could have done was called people and asked each one of them one question. So I could have called, like, Uber Bandit and been like, hey, Uber Bandit, what does Velious offer for the casual player? Because he's kind of a casual player. And I could have asked Darabale, like, hey, buddy, what is the true favored race of Cazic Thule? Because he's all over Ixar Nation, and he should be all over Cazic Thule Nation. That should be his Lord, Savior, and Protector. I could have asked Nobog why this is called Project 1999. He probably would have loved to bat that one out of the park. Could have asked Rogan what he thought the pinnacle of EQ was. Could ask just about anybody why they thought EQ was great. Anybody could have done the stupidest thing you've ever done, but hopefully we'd get someone who did something real stupid for that. What else do we got? A couple people could have done the personality class, real life crap thing. Rennie could do the cleric question that's about to come up. Let's see. I don't know why I think Nyx is a druid all the time, but I know Nyx is a druid. I don't know why I think Nyx is a cleric all the time, but I know Nyx is a druid. Oh, because she has a cleric, derp. Oh, man, I am in prime form today. It's going to be a lot better once I start taking flu medicine, because I think I'm getting the flu. Maybe I'm not. Maybe it's just a sore throat, and I'm being a little bit pre-dramatic. But based on what my brother's girlfriend went through, and then based on what my brother's going through, I have a feeling I'm going to be going through something very similar in the very near future. I took a shit ton of vitamin C, though. I did just pour a handful of vitamin C gummies into my mouth and just chewed on them and ate them. So hopefully that will be good. I tried to eat some honey, but look, I didn't know this was a thing, but honey can go bad. So, or at a bare minimum, it can get to a point where you really aren't going to want to eat it. And my honey got to one of those 2 points, so it's gone now. What else? Oh, nerds. I wish I could have. I don't plan things well out enough. Plan things out well enough? Apparently I'm struggling with grammar in the English language today as well. What can you do? I know what we can do. Let's just move on. Are there too many clerics on P99? This was an interesting question. And I'll tell you why. I grew up at a time when you couldn't have too many clerics. I was never in a guild where it's like, man, we have too many clerics. I don't know. I can see if the reason you're making a character is because you want to feel like the most unique, specialist little snowflake floating through the night winter sky, then maybe you shouldn't roll a cleric, because there's a good amount of them. There's definitely not a shortage of clerics. If you want, if you want to be that person who is the only one or two of your class, so that there's an amazing chance that any loots that drop will go right to you, don't roll a cleric. As far as the server being oversaturated or overpopulated with them, I don't think so. Maybe some people would disagree with me. I'm sure there's a cleric somewhere that had to wait 5 minutes LFG, and he's like, oh, there's too many goddamn clerics on this server. I had to wait 5 whole minutes to find a group. What is this world coming to? Bloody, bloody, bloody blue. And then there's rangers on this server, like my dear friend Uber Bandit, who will sit who will sit LFG for 2 or 3 hours and then log off because nobody wants to invite a ranger to the group. So, yeah. I will say that there's always a trend, and it usually comes after a patch. We'll make a change. Somebody will be like, oh, that changes will make this class super awesome and spectacular. I need to roll one of these ASAP. And so they'll hop on the box and roll whatever flavor of the month class it is. And so for then a brief period of time, you'll see a bunch of, this kind of twinks or those kind of twinks or that kind of twink. And so on and so on. And then another patch comes and changes a few things around, and then people switch again. I know, let's see. I don't want to use any examples because I don't want people to try and throw things in my face to say I'm wrong. But just trust me on that. It rotates. And if cleric is the popular twink choice right now, it'll change. It always changes. I know for a while it was monks. I know for a while it was rogues. I'm sure Shadow Knights were a thing at one point. Everyone wanted an Ixar when Kunar came out. things change. And so just my advice to everyone is play the class you want to play. EverQuest is not it's not a race, or it is a race, but it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You need to enjoy the journey, because getting there is the majority of the game. If you just get a class that's the most needed and try and get all the best things you can get and blah blah blah, you're not gonna have fun. I mean, you're just not gonna have fun. And moreover, you're not gonna be good. I know there's a lot of people who are like, EQ doesn't take skill, blah 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 blah. Anyone who says EQ doesn't take skill is bad at EQ. Yes, you don't need skill to do the minimal and get by. Any asshole can hop on the computer, push a few buttons, and play, a class reasonably well. There are some players who, when you name a class, their player name pops in your head. Do you know why their player name pops into your head instead of your player name? It's because they have skill. It's because they go above and beyond what the average asshole just thinks of doing, and they separate themselves from the pack. I mean, sure, it's not often, and I can see why most people would say EQ takes no skill. But as somebody who has seen, not just, when I was a player, of course, I could see what my guild and my friends were doing. But as a staff member, as a GM, I can see what the new guilds are doing. I can see what the old guilds are doing. I can see what the up-and-coming guilds are doing, and I can see what the down-and-out guilds are doing. I can see what everybody's doing. And I can honestly sit here and tell you that there are some players who have more skill than other players, and there are some guilds that have a larger collection of skilled players than other guilds. And so basically, I feel a little bit sorry for the people who really truly believe that it takes no skill to play this game, because it generally means that they're bad at this game, and they probably haven't ever played with anybody who's good at this game. So yeah, that's not even intended as shots fired. That's just real life. I've seen way too much skill and talent to agree with anybody who says that it doesn't take any. I know that as a necro, like, I was able to recognize other necromancers that were very good necromancers. They were guys that I would ask questions to or bounce ideas off of. They knew the class. They knew it very well. And more than that, they knew the game mechanics. They knew how the game would react to certain things that they could do. And a lot of people don't. They just like, well, I mean, I know how to send in my pet, and I know how to life tap, and I know how to lich for extra mana and twitch mana to clerics. I'm done. That's it. Most of my time I spend AFK. And you got tanks out there who are like, what? I turn on my auto attack. I hit my kick button. I'm a good tank. What's the problem? You got some clerics that were like, what? I know how to heal people. I know how to res people. I have an epic. Let me tell you something. If you leveled from like 52 to 60 in a Chardock AE group, unless you played that character from 52 to 60 at some other point on live maybe, you probably suck at your class. I know there's at least a couple monks who are really bad monks, and it's because they have no experience doing anything other than, no like 50 plus experience of doing anything other than Chardock AE groups. And at that point, how is it any different than, say, just going on eBay and buying your account? I know back on live, one of the reasons, back on live, we didn't give a shit about RMT. But I had good friends who were involved with RMT on live. Either guys who quit playing and sold off their accounts, or guys who would farm items and sell those items, or guys who would sell power leveling sessions for real life money. We didn't give any shits. What we did give a shit about was having bad players. And 9 times out of 10, somebody buys an account. It's a level 60 whatever, but they suck at it. They have no idea what they're doing, and more times than not, they are more of a liability than a benefit. And so, yeah, people stop sucking and don't. Guilds You might want to add your application process to your process guilds. Let's just start all over. Hi, guilds. You might want to take a second, look at your application process, and see, does this application process ask if people spent time in the Chardock AE group? And if you don't care about having skilled players, then you can just skip ahead 2 minutes. But if you do, you might not want to take people who only leveled in Chardock, because the people who just raced to 60 in one place, really doing nothing but that one thing over and over and over again. First of all, same exact neckbeard status as anyone else doing nothing for a long period of time, because, spoiler alert, you're doing nothing. You might be getting XP, but you're doing nothing. And you're learning nothing, you're not becoming better at your class, and you're just going to be one of those shitty players who go around saying EQ doesn't take any skill to play. Oh, you poor, poor misguided nerds. I wish I had some kind of weekly platform that I could use to just educate the masses. Maybe some kind of live thing where I could just hop on the computer and my voice could go out to all of you in real time. And oh, if only there was a place and a time. I don't know. I'm seeing Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here at twitch.tv/SirkenP99. I'm seeing that in my vision. Definitely check it out. And since I'm shamelessly promoting and plugging things, youtube.com/SirkenP99. It's got all the things that I've ever done, pretty much, unless I was ashamed of them and had to delete them. But all the things I'm only slightly ashamed of, or better, are there. And then I can't imagine you'd be watching this if you didn't know what EverQuest was, or P99 at this point, but www.project1999.com. We do Classic better than anyone else on the internet, and we've been doing it for a while at this point. Jesus Lord. You should check it out. It's free. It's 100% free. And it's 100% free forever and ever and ever. There's no station store gimmicks. There's no pay-to-win stuff. It's just good, clean family fun. And by all means, if you want a modern MMO, if you want a new MMO, if you want that kind of stuff, you should go play EQ Live, because this is not the server for you. But if you miss EQ Classic, and if you have not found something to scratch that itch since around 2001, and you know there's no way you're going to play EQ Live, and there's no way you're going to play World of Warcraft, and there's no way you're going to play Star Wars or any other goddamn MMO, come check out EQ Classic right here at project1999.com, because you know what? Sony did something real right back in 1999, and we love what they did. We love it. And we're keeping that vision alive, and we're not going to let it get watered down with budgets and quarterly reports and earnings stuff, because we don't make any money. Our earnings will always be the same. And to be real honest, there's some good reassurance in that. Oh my lord. And that's the answer to my question of, are there too many clerics on P99? So, moving on. Thoughts on Project M. So, for those who don't know, Project M is Project Monster. It was a short-lived feature of EQ Live where when you got to the server select screen, you had the option to log into Project M instead of your characters. And if you logged in as Project M, you could log in as like a level 1 or 2 or 3, like a newbie area mob. And you were that NPC. I know one time I logged in as a, some kind of froglock, maybe a froglock tadpole, I don't know, some kind of stupid froglock in either in a Thule Swamp or the Faerot. It was one of those, and I would just sit and wait and try to, do stupid things like an NPC would, and get real into it. And then a goddamn player would come by, and I'd just bide my time, and he'd try to pull me like a regular NPC, and all of a sudden, this froglock tadpole knows how to joust. Now things get real. And let me tell you something. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. I never played around on low-level characters, during Project M. So I have no idea how it was to be on the player side of that. But being on the monster side of that, holy shit, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I'm definitely feeling like I'm getting sick at this point. My throat is very scratchy, and I think it's making the inside of my right ear feel funny at this point. If my right ear just starts bleeding and you hear a thud followed by silence for an undetermined amount of time, somebody needs to call the police or an ambulance, or call Rogan. Rogan knows where I live. He can actually help me. Are we? Yes, Project M, that's where we were. There's really not else much to say about it. That's what it was. If you're asking how would I feel about it on P99, I'd say I think it's awesome. I know that there's at least a few devs. I don't know if they're still P99 devs, but I know there's a couple who have shown interest in Project Monster, and I know there's a couple that may have taken a look to see if it'd be possible or what would need to go in or be changed to make it possible. I don't think anyone said it's impossible. I know I've heard it wouldn't be easy. Probably could never have it on the red server because nerds are gonna find a way to nerd, and so they can't have nice things. But yeah, I don't know. If it was ever like down to a vote, I would definitely vote in favor of it. I just have to imagine that it's just not an easy thing to do. It's not a priority. And so no one's going to work on that over things that are priorities, such as Velious, the biggest, baddest priority of them all. I'm sure a lot of you were expecting Velious on Christmas, and I think that would have been awesome if we could have done it. But thanks to all the beta testers who did the beta during the forced beta weekend. And for real, guys, thank you very much for everyone who did the beta testing that weekend. We really do appreciate that. I joke around a lot, I break balls a lot. We really do appreciate it. From the staff and the devs and everyone, thank you very much. A+. But thanks to feedback from a lot of players, we're still working on things. And it's important to us that when we do release Velious, it's A+. It's amazing, it's top notch. We don't want to release Velious and then people start, and legitimate, validly, start complaining that it's a piece of shit and we wasted all their time. We should have just released it 2 years ago, blah, 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 blah. We want Velious to be awesome. We want to give you guys the very best Velious experience that you have had since logging into SOE's Velious back in late 2000, 2001. I mean, that's really what we want, and it's important to us that we do it right. And it's not just important to the devs, it's important to the rest of the staff too, myself included. I'm not a dev, I don't do any dev work. But Velious, it is important to me that it comes out right. And you guys know I'm not just saying that, because I got no problem telling you guys things that are not the official staff position, such as my opinion on RMT, which I have made very clear multiple times. I think even though some nerds on other streams somehow manage to misquote that, I don't give a shit about RMT. And the reason is because, A, as long as the staff isn't making money, server's pretty much not in trouble of anything. And B, people that spend money on the game, less likely to quit the game. And C, if people are willing to spend money on your server, that means you're doing something right. It means players trust you not to, be a fly-by-night operation. It's a lot of good signs. And so, I mean, as shitty as it is, I take it as a compliment. That being said, I don't hunt RMTers. That's not part of my duties here in my role on the P99 staff. And I assure you that the people who are in charge of dealing with RMT care very much and take it very seriously. Don't do it. This is free advice from Sirken right now. If any of you are at home debating on whether or not you should RMT some platinum to get started and get a head start, don't do it. We have ways of tracking all of those things. You might have a friend tell you, "Oh, I've been buying from this guy and I never get caught. You should do it too." Don't do it. Don't do it. There's no magical thing that goes off when an RMT transaction happens. But they are logged. And at some point, we're going through those logs and we're going to find that shit. And that's how you get huge ban waves. Because they go back months and months and months and months. And so your buddy who's been RMTing for a couple months without getting caught, who's like, do it, man. It's cool. It's easy. It's you won't get caught. He's going to get banned, and you're going to get banned, and you're both going to get banned at the same time. And you know what? It's not even your buddy's fault for telling you to do it. It's your fault for being a dummy. Don't be a dummy. That's the moral of my lesson. And if you are a dummy and you do RMT, you deserve to get caught. And you deserve to have to look over your shoulder and be scared that every time you click enter world, there is a possibility, a very real possibility, that instead of logging you into the server, you're going to get a message that says, sorry, that account has been banned. And I don't want to ban people. Darabale doesn't want to ban people. Rogan, Nobog don't want to ban people. Eunomia doesn't want to ban people. Aussie doesn't want to ban people. The potential new guides that we're in the process of talking to, they don't want to ban. Well, maybe they do, but hopefully they won't get on staff if that's the reason they're coming on staff. We're not here to power trip. We're not here to flaunt ban hammers and throw dirty parts on the table. That's not why we're here. We're here because, well, we're here because we hate ourselves, and this is the easiest way to punish ourselves. But aside from that, oh god, you know, you can't even broad stroke that shit. Everyone's got different reasons. I know I'm here because I love this game. And it got to a point where I was done playing. I was only logging in to do certain things. Most of the people I had played with and leveled up with weren't playing anymore. I was bored. I got sick of hearing go solo, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, there's dramas. There were some dramas. I didn't feel like dealing with it. And then some other shit happened, which made that decision even easier. But, yeah, we won't talk about that. So I quit. But I still loved EQ. I still loved the P99 server. And when I had an opportunity to come on the staff, it was originally to, I wanted to be a guide on Red. I wanted to help people who wanted EQ PvP. I wanted to help them have the same great fun experiences that I had with EQ PvP. Fast forward through some bullshit, one GM gets removed, another GM gets removed, and now all of a sudden there's no GMs, and Sirken is the longest termed staff member other than Rogan and Nilbog, and boom, now I'm a GM. Now I have to deal with both servers. Hooray! Sorry, Blue. I know you haven't been getting as much love recently, but it's Red's turn. I go back and forth. I show Red some love for a while, and then I show Blue some love for a while. I try very hard to go back and forth. It's very hard. It's like having two kids, and you know, when you're being nice to one, the other one's like, oh, you like him better. But then when you're being nice to the other one, the original one's like, oh, now you like him better. It's nothing like that. It's just, you know, you're trying to split your time as best you can. But as godlike as I am, I cannot yet be in two places at the same time. Ooh, that's a lie. I could log in as many clients as I wanted, couldn't I? Yeah, I could. God. Well, all right, look, I could be in multiple places at the same time, but I can't do things in multiple places at the same time. And so I just try to, instead of half-assing both servers, I try to give 100% to each one for a brief amount of time, hoping that at least one of these new guides will be a dedicated Red server guide, because really Red server would benefit so much just from having a presence, just eyes and ears present. And I mean, the biggest thing is trust. I need to be able to trust whoever is the guide on Red server. If they come to me and they're like, I saw this happen, this is this person's fault, I need to know without a shadow of a doubt that that person is telling me the truth. Because if that person is lying and I go ahead and suspend or ban someone on false information, now my integrity is ruined. Not ruined, but definitely damaged. And I know there's people who be like, oh, but Sirken, your integrity's fucked. Have you ever read the forums? They think you're a scumbag. I've read it on the internet. I don't care what the forum warriors say about me. I don't care what a lot of people think about me, to be quite honest. I know that, I know that I do a good job, and as long as Rogan and Nilbog feel I do a good job, That's really all that matters to me. I know there's players who like, you should do things this way and you should do things that way, and things would be more transparent if you did it like this, and if you would just do it like that, maybe we wouldn't give you such a hard time because we'd understand. And that's cool. I'm not saying any of you guys are wrong. I'm just saying I don't care about any of those things. I don't care about any of your guys' opinions about how I'm doing as a staff member. And I don't mean to sound rude or like an asshole, but my throat's really starting to bother the shit out of me. And I can feel myself getting fussy. I'm going to need a nap very soon. Fussy Sirken is no fun. But yeah, I don't mean to sound rude or like an asshole, but the community is too big to realistically ever expect that you can make everybody happy with a decision. There's always going to be someone who feels shorted or slighted, shorthanded, whatever, by the decision. There's always going to be people who feel that the other party got a better deal. There's always going to be people who think that it was handled wrong or poorly or shouldn't have had staff intervene at all. It's just it's retarded. It's absolutely retarded. There's two people on this entire planet whose opinion of what I do here matters to me. It's Rogan and Nilbog. And as much as I love the devs, as much as I love the other staff, and as much as I love the wonderful players in this community on both servers, I do not give any shits about your opinions on what I'm doing. And so on that wonderful note, should we wrap it up? I think we could possibly wrap it up. Thanks everybody for listening. I'm sorry that I'm sick. I'm hoping my voice doesn't sound too horrible. And I'm hoping that you will all join us back at our regular scheduled time, Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. Twitch.tv/SirkenP99. And if you want to watch the old stuff, like I said before, YouTube.com/SirkenP99. Classic EverQuest. We're doing it better than anyone else on the internet over at www.project1999.com. Go check it out. It's free. It's easy. You don't need to do anything. You don't even need to register to view the forums. Just go over there, read a little bit. You'll get your nostalgia itch, and we'll see you soon. So, Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this little special Christmas edition of our Monday night, but instead on Thursday night, right? Thursday is Christmas? Yeah, Thursday night. Merry Christmas, everybody. Love, Santa Sirken. Bye.